Time once again to visit with you here on Facebook Live with the Micon, Mike Smith. I'm Dan Ramey, and welcome to this Friday edition of the show. It is July 21st. Where is the month going? You realize that 4 weeks from today is the first high school football game.
Yeah.
Opening night for the 2023 football season.
You know, usually the first few weeks, it's very hot because the last 10 years we've been playing high school football in August. Mm-hmm. But as hot as this summer has been, and I just heard them say this morning, the worst is yet to come. I just wonder what it'll be like.
Well, you know, in all reality, the worst is yet to come. For those who are believers, it's really going to get hot one day.
Really going to get hot.
But yeah, well, dog days of summer usually hit late July, early August. Isn't that right?
That's what they always called them, yes.
So
that's when the yards all turn brown and you can't mow because it's...
Oh, you remember that stretch we had in which we had brown grass in late May, early June?
Yeah.
And for the last, 5-6 years, we've been blessed in that regard. We've had plenty of green grass to go around for everybody. So I guess we're just, if you hang around long enough, you live through cycles.
That's right.
We're going through a good cycle.
Right.
I was talking with my father-in-law probably 20 years ago. He said, I remember when Morgan's Fork Creek back behind the farm here was full all the time when I was a kid. And I remember it being like that when Missy and I started dating. That would have been 1981. And it always seemed to be full. And they had a footbridge that they built to be able to get to the other side. And since then, we have a rain like we had last night. Water comes up. But other than that, it trickles right back down to almost nothing again.
Yeah.
So I guess over a period of 30, 40 years, you start to see that stuff happen.
That's correct.
So, all right. Hi, everybody. We have a daily program that we usually take a look at the daily topics. We'll also jump into the weekend stuff that's coming up. Take a look at sports. And this date in history, back to space again?
Yeah, 2011.
Okay, so that's coming up here shortly for you as well. If you've wondered what it is that we do, many folks remember our morning show that we used to have on radio. So we want you to just sit back and enjoy, kind of like what we did back in those days. A lot of what we do here is kind of crosstalk, and it seems like that's what most people seem to remember most from our radio days.
You know, yesterday's closing segment took 15 minutes.
Did it really?
Because it was 11:32 when we started this day in history, and we wrapped up at 11:47.
Windbag, right there.
I think if you go back and look, that's the wonderful thing about this program. You can go back and see. Yeah.
Well, I do recall you talking about the radio moment, and maybe this was Wednesday's program, where it was you that had the long story talking about taking the phone calls and all this kind of stuff. And I thought to myself, how do I add to this conversation? Because it led to who I would marry for the next 42 years. Yeah. And
we heard every detail.
My segment was about 10 seconds long.
I think we could go back and time those. You just made me think of another radio moment. Remember cell phone number, because I'll forget between now and then.
One of the wonders of being over 60. Mm-hmm. What were we doing?
Weather. We were talking about how hot it was.
That's right, weather. Let's get right to a look at what our forecast is for us as we jump into the weekend. And weekend looks good, but it's going to get hot next week.
Yeah, actually, it's going to be a little cooler. Today is Friday, by the way. You still see Thursday up there on Thursday the 20th. It's going to be much cooler than what it was yesterday. 80 for a high today, 81 if you're looking at our screen there.
Just occurred to me I didn't put today's weather
I was going to say, now, wait a minute, that doesn't look right. A chance of some showers tomorrow is the biggest look at rain, probably more so than today. A lot of people in our area saw some heavy rains last night, some severe weather. There were actually a tornado warning out in part of Fayette and northern Highland County yesterday. Much of that was radar indicated. I've not heard anything yet about any damage from winds last night that was believed to be tornado related in either one of those counties. Of course, I live up in northwest Ross County, and it looked like the bullseye was coming right towards Frankfort, but we didn't receive anything that severe. But I was telling you a couple of days ago, one of our neighbors that lives maybe 3 or 4 miles away, he had 4.6 inches of rain in 2 days, and we might have gotten an inch. And that's just in 4 miles apart. So
yeah, we had a half inch at our place.
So that's kind of odd how that happens.
And
But
there's the new weather.
Yeah. So there you see some mixture of sun and clouds today, and kind of a repeat of that, but a little warmer for tomorrow than today. But we needed a little bit of a breather as far as the temperatures are concerned.
Yeah, back into the 90s next week from what we're being told.
So that's the weather. That's all I got for you there.
All right.
No smoke or anything like that I'm aware of. Canadian wildfires.
You know, yesterday when I came in, and I've been forming this habit, when I pull into the parking lot, I get out of the car, I'll take a snapshot of the smokestack. And because it's, just kind of in our backyard here. And yesterday I took the snapshot. You couldn't see the smokestack because it was foggy.
Foggy, yeah.
You could not see it for the fog. And I forgot to take the photo today when I got out, and it was pristine, clear sky. So, and my plan is over a period of time, I'm going to try and put all those photos together, just to kind of take a look, which will take us through the smoky time that we had this year with all that Canadian wildfire smoke coming down.
Kind of like time lapse. Only a lot of laps sometimes between days.
Precisely. All right, just ahead, a look at what's making news for us across the Scioto Valley. But first, I want to tell you about Scioto Valley dumpsters. If you've got a cleanup job to do, you need a dumpster. And here's the number to call, 740-253-8389 for Scioto Valley dumpsters. Tell them Dan and Mike sent you. News next.
You haven't had vodka soda like this. No one has. Made with the world's smoothest vodka plus real juice. New White Claw Vodka Soda.
At Rathkamp Financial, we provide wealth management services that may ease clients' fears of financial loss and help them retire comfortably. Our greatest satisfaction comes from working with clients for many years and helping them realize their dreams.
As a professional race car driver, I live for speed, power, and performance, on and off the track. That's why I use the Dixie Chopper, the world's fastest lawnmower. Race into your local dealership today and test drive a new Dixie Chopper.
Felix Unger. Oh my!
We were both trying
Clear
to
our throats,
clear our
yeah.
throat before we started, and all I could think of was Felix going.
Yeah.
So what's making news today on our website, littermedia.com? Let's take a look.
Yes, a story that we've actually had done 2 previous stories. Well, here's number 3, but this one is about a deadline. The Chillicothe VA Medical Center will be hosting a Veterans Fish Fry Dinner sponsored by the PACT Act on the 25th of July. That would be next Tuesday. The dinner will be held in Building 9 at the Chillicothe VA Auditorium between 4 and 7 p.m. Now, this will feature food, live music, discussing benefits of the PACT Act and how it can serve you. Coming up on a deadline if you're going to apply for these possible back funds that veterans might be eligible for if you served in Vietnam, Gulf War era, or post 9/11 era. You might be eligible for this if you were exposed to toxic substances. Now, the VA is also hosting PACT Act-sponsored events at all of their community-based outreach centers, such as in Portsmouth, Lancaster, and Athens on subsequent dates outside of the 25th. You can find out what those dates are by going to this website story at littermedia.com. For 7 weeks, local entrepreneurs have been preparing for a business competition in Pike County to help them grow and expand. Floor BWXT Portsmouth partnered with the Economic and Community Development Institute, the Women's Business Center of Central Appalachia, and OSU Small Business Development Center to select the top 3 businesses in Pike County's Ignite Appalachia Pitch competition. The winner split a $10,000 prize. Now, first place went to the Mariana Grill, a food truck business that offers lakeside seating near Lake White in Waverly, and it's owned by the lady holding the check, Angelina Kelly. Some of you in the Frankfort area might remember her as Angel Hardesty, an All-Ohio volleyball player back in the late 90s. Also, second place went to Cedar Hill Creations, which specializes in handmade pottery, quilting, and signature photography. They won second. That was owned by Michelle Teeters. Michelle's not pictured here, but Michelle worked with us. Well, I think we established maybe you weren't with us at the radio station at that time. But I worked with Michelle at WBEX when we were up on Pullman Road many years ago. So congratulations to those top winners in that competition. The annual Water Day at the Spillway will be held at Tar Hollow State Park July 29th from 1 to 4. Look at that sliding down that hillside. For all of the ages, kids, adults, whatever, huge water slide, foam machines, squirt guns, water balloons, and the event is free for everybody. Due to the fact that State Route 327 will be closing beginning Monday for 60 days, alternate arrival routes are required, and you can even find those routes in this website, story at littermedia.com. We also recently told you about the Arts in the Parks program that DNR has going on. Well, we have some follow-up information. Summer Workshop Series brings state park visitors together with 7 Ohio teaching artists to create engaging experiences. Workshops will offer an array of activities, including creating art from recyclables, writing poetry, and even decorating Ukrainian eggs. Participating locations include Burr Oak, Mohican, Salt Fork, and in our area, Deer Creek and Shawnee State Park Lodges. And also within that story, you'll get all of the specific dates and what art teacher will be there those days.
Speaking of Shawnee State, here's naturalist Jenny, and she's talking about what you can enjoy and experience when you go to Shawnee State Park. And I will be honest with you, I have a tendency to forget that they're right along the Ohio River, also the southern part of that. But here's like the small-eyed sphinx moth. These are some of the things you'll be able to see. There are snakes and all kind of stuff that they were talking about as well. So if you want to see that video, just go to our Facebook page here. You'll find it in the news feed. Just scroll down through there, and there's the rough green snake. I just got chills up my legs thinking about walking through the woods and seeing that thing look at me square in the eye.
Yeah, right there.
It changes up how you walk a trail when you hear some of the naturalists speak about the things that you might run into.
Hopefully that won't keep you away from the state park. Yeah.
Correct.
We've been talking a lot about county fairs in recent days. Well, don't forget the Ohio State Fair gets underway next Wednesday, July 26th in Columbus, and runs through August the 6th. It's not unusual, and not unusual to be not unusual for some of our local talent to do very well in a lot of the livestock judging up there as well.
This portion of the program will be muted now because we don't have the music rights.
Tom Jones was not really in studio. That was me. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Just in case you thought it was Tom Jones.
Full disclosure. Yeah. Thank you.
An update on Lancaster High School's building. They're building a new high school.
Yeah, and this was something that was shared on Lancaster City Schools' Facebook page yesterday. We shared that here on our Facebook page so you can see the progression of how they've gone so far and some renderings of what this is going to look like when they're done. And this is just, I had not seen it yet until yesterday, and it just floored me. Yeah. Of course, when Chillicothe and Lancaster played each other on a regular basis. We were always seeing when you walked in how that long walk was if you didn't get there in time. Good to see modifications being made over there.
Yeah, long time in the coming, so to speak. So, yeah, look for that here in the next year or so to be open for their students there. And staying in Lancaster.
It's the Lancaster Festival time, and this is where their art walk is already open, and you can have an opportunity to, if you're a chalk artist, you can go ahead and do some sidewalk stuff. Don't know if Kenny Corcoran is going over there to do anything at all, but this is available for everybody, and it is that time now through the end of July where you can go to Lancaster, and there's always something to do.
Yeah, and a week from this weekend, some of the big national acts include Andy Grammer and, of course, Hall of Famer Sheryl Crow.
Is she tomorrow night?
No, that's not till the 29th.
29th, okay.
So that would be a week from tomorrow.
At McGuffey Lane tomorrow night here in Chillicothe.
Right. So there you go. A lot to do here in this part of the state, not only southern, but central Ohio.
Fayette County Fair continues. They've got their stock truck pull tonight, 6 p.m. And tomorrow they'll have harness racing in the Smash It Demo Derby. And over in Jackson County, they've got their event going on tonight. They've got the Fast Tracks Motocross at the grandstand. And tomorrow night, I believe they probably have a demo derby as well. Let's see here. Yep. Brenton Jenkins Memorial Demolition Derby in Jackson County.
You know, I remember talking to one of our county fair people years ago, and they said even with all of the big name entertainment that comes in, the demo derby usually draws as big a crowd as some of those.
It's huge. It really is. Tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday, Christmas in July, Sip and Shop taking place here in downtown Chillicothe. Get more details when you take a listen to the interview that we did with Tiffany Baldwin earlier this week. And don't forget about all the stuff we mentioned yesterday up in Pickaway County. I'm going to Asheville tomorrow, and not for the Asheville Food Truck Festival.
Come on, Dan.
We're having our usual gathering. Dave Tenner, myself, my former Fellowship of Christian Athletes advisor, Tom Heil, and my classmate, Don Irvin. We've been getting together over the last year or so for lunch, and tomorrow's a lunch day. But the food trucks won't get back out until 5 o'clock.
Yeah, more of a dinner type affair.
I will be home by 5 o'clock. That's the plan, anyway.
You hope. They may talk so long, it may turn into dinner as well.
It just might, you bet. So that's some of the stuff that's going on across the Scioto Valley. And, of course, go through our website and our Facebook page here more to see if you missed anything this week.
Yeah, down in Pike County, starting Monday, the 24th, the resurfacing project gets underway on State Route 32 between Germany Road and the Jackson County line. At least one lane of traffic will be maintained in each direction on 32 throughout construction. Additional traffic impacts may include shoulder closures and narrowed, shifted travel lanes, and that project is anticipated to go through fall of 2023. If you go to our navigation bar at the top of our website, 4 road reports, everything that's on there is new. We usually get the information Thursday, and by Friday it's up there, but I got all that taken care of last night. And that's it. But that's all, folks.
Nothing else to report.
Except sports.
You brought up Porky Pig there, and I was thinking about Who Framed Roger Rabbit. At the end of the movie, it's Porky Pig that is going, and nothing else to see. It's just move on.
Yeah.
Mel Blanc.
He was great.
Amen to that. In fact, last Friday when I was at the district council, I was standing in line talking with some folks that, in fact, they watch the program every once in a while, so hi. But we were talking about Bluey, the cartoon character, and my first opportunity to see Mom and Dad in person as opposed to being the cartoon character. And the thing is, it's their voices. That's the voice you hear is the voice that actually goes with them. And I was describing to them Mel Blanc being the voice of so many different characters in Warner Brothers, and they were like, Mel Blanc, I don't think I know who that is. And I'm like, how old am I?
Yeah.
That you can't remember who Mel Blanc is. But
Now, his son took over after Mel passed away.
He did.
And did it for a number of years, too.
but just wasn't the same, obviously. But and I guess we probably were looking at a younger Mel Blanc voice. If we would have gone back to Mel Blanc's early days,
Right.
You might have, but the one that was rich, experienced, it was a much different situation. Sports on the way in just a moment for you, and we'll also get you caught up to date on this date in history. The Litter Media Wayback Machine is dialed up for
2011.
not too far, but it is
Getting
far
farther
enough.
each day,
It
yeah.
certainly is, much like his program. Accurate heating, cooling, and plumbing. Woo! Let's try this again. Your trusted comfort advisor is Accurate Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. If you've got some needs in the way of making your home a little more comfortable, maybe it's too hot during the summer, you want it to be cool. Maybe it's not warm enough in the winter. Maybe it's too wet right now because we've got a leak. Accurate Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Click on this ad anywhere you see it. It takes you right to their website where you can learn more about their services to make your home more comfortable.
Whenever I first applied for the ArchWiz opportunity, do I have to pay this back? Do I have to do that? Like, is it a loan? And it's not. It's a scholarship. A goal of mine is to graduate college debt-free. If you're a crew member, you get $2,500 a year, and if you're a manager, you get $3,000. And especially if you're going locally to college, like to the branch or something like that, it's really helpful.
This is Andy Tomlinson. When ensuring what's important to you, our agents are there when you need us the most. Tomlinson Insurance, for the best coverage at the best cost. Visit us online at tomlinsonins.com to learn more.
Find a career you love with Pickaway Ross Adult Education. Skilled trades careers are in high demand with no signs of slowing down. Pickaway Ross offers career training programs with expert instructors and hands-on learning tactics to create a variety of opportunities. Visit our website for more information.
It is time to take a look at the world of sports. And what do we have here to start?
Starting with some high school news. You might have recalled during the state track meet, we were tracking, no pun intended, some of this information on our website story. Well, after an outstanding track and field season that saw Bloom Carroll's Dylan Chittum win a Division I state title in the shot put, he's committed to the Ohio State University. He's going to be a Buckeye. Congratulations, Dylan.
Looks a little intimidating, almost like I'm coming after you.
I'm coming after you. I'm throwing the shot put at you. Yeah, well, good luck to him. I don't know if he was on the football team.
Probably.
Yeah. Did we get to do a Bloom Carroll game this year? I don't remember.
I don't think we did this year.
It was a couple of years
year,
back.
Yeah.
Paints returned home with a win last night over the Rex, 5-2. And in that victory, it was their 30th win of the season.
In their 30th season.
How about that? Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Paints stay at home. Who did you say they got tonight? The Dans?
You know, if they would have won more games earlier in the year when they had the 30th season logo baseball they gave out last weekend,
That'd have been
they
appropriate.
could have done it then. But hey, you can't go back and revise history, right? Yeah, Danville Dans, I believe, were in town tonight.
Yeah, and a single game again on Saturday, and then a doubleheader on Sunday to wrap up the homestand. Great news from the Redlegs yesterday. What an effort by Lefty Abbott yesterday. He had a shutout going, a one-hit shutout through 8 innings. They just said, okay, you've done your job. They brought on the relief pitcher, Law. He gives up a home run for the only run the Giants got. But in back-to-back wins, the Reds split that 4-game series with the Giants and open up a weekend series at home tonight against the Arizona Diamondbacks.
And Malley had a home run? He was,
Yes.
3 for 4 from the catcher position?
He
and
got
that
it
was,
started.
position 9?
Yeah.
Going 3 for 4. You like that?
I think they said position 7 through 9 over their last 2 or 3 games had comprised of all of their runs.
Wow.
Typically, that's not the part of the lineup that's the producer.
Yeah, they're usually not the ones that are higher paid either.
Yeah.
But tonight, it's the Diamondbacks coming to town, and the Reds will take on the Diamondbacks from Arizona. Again, another team coming in with a winning record. And so the Reds will take care of business tonight, and the Guardians are home in Cleveland with the Philadelphia Phillies.
And Cleveland was idle last night. Philadelphia just came off a series with the Brewers, I believe, and gave the Brewers trouble.
Did they?
I mean, after the Reds got down by 2 games, Philly really helped us out because they kept the Brewers pretty much in check. Something that you discovered yesterday, the Cincinnati Bengals have come out with their annual Ring of Honor, and these 2 fellows are going to be named to that.
When you were out last week, we went through the list of names. Bob Trumpy, Dave Lapham, I think Bill Berge, Jim Breach, Chris Collinsworth,
Riley,
Corey Dillon,
the defensive back, Riley.
I think Ken Riley. I think he's already in this Ring of Honor. But these were all the names that you would go across. I'm like, how do you pick? How do you pick? And Boomer Esiason and Chad Ochocinco Johnson are your 2 that are going into the Ring of Honor. And this got past me, and I admitted it to you in a follow-up email that I forgot that Chad Johnson is the all-time leading receiver at Cincinnati, and also has the most receiving touchdowns at Cincinnati. I was watching some of his highlights yesterday, so that is pretty cool for them. Congratulations. And induction ceremony will be September 25th as the Bengals will host the Rams on that event.
I think reason Ken Riley came to mind as I think about it, there was a big push here a year or 2 ago. Why isn't he yet in the NFL Hall of Fame with the stats that he had over his career?
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's going in this year.
Is that right?
Along with the Browns' Joe Thomas. I believe that's the case. And I think I told my Ken Riley story before.
On the was it the elevator or
no? That was Paul Brown.
Okay.
This was we walk into a Reds we walk into the Bengals Paul Brown Stadium back then before it became Paycor, and so we're going to the Kenny Anderson suite. That's where our tickets were. This was something that when you were with the radio network, they would send tickets. Well, usually these tickets sat you out in the crowd. Well, these were in a booth, and I'm like, this is kind of cool. So we get there, Dan Jr. and I think it was the Indianapolis Colts they were playing at the time. And so we walk in, I'm looking around, this is kind of cool. And then there's like the Ken Riley suite right next to the Kenny Anderson suite. And I look over, and there is a whole family together, and an older fella turns and looks at me. Our eyes lock. It's Ken Riley. And I'm thinking, imagine that, Ken Riley in the Ken Riley suite. I wonder why he's here. Well, then comes the pregame ceremonies. I'm looking down, and on the field, there's Ken Riley and his family, and they're being, I don't recall what it was, but he was being honored and acknowledged that day. And I thought, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he was a good one.
When I rode the elevator with Paul Brown, that was in an Ohio State game. And I'm standing there waiting on the elevator. The elevator doors open up. I step on. Well, coming in behind me are 2 older ladies. They make their way in, and this older gentleman in a trench coat and a hat. I'm over in one corner of the elevator to give them room to get in. The 2 ladies turn around, and they are just yammering the whole time while we're riding. And I take a look over, and the gentleman that's in the corner over here, he and I look at each other, and he gives me this look. It's like, and then I'm like, hey, you're Paul Brown.
Yeah.
And they about that time, the doors open, and they walk off. And he was there because they were honoring the 1942 national championship team. Okay. And there he was down on the field and I thought, I rode the elevator with Paul Brown.
How about that? Hall of Famer.
At first, I just thought he was an old guy.
Yeah. Well, he was, but.
And now people look at me like,
a legend.
I just thought you were an old guy.
And Dan's just shaking his head like the bobblehead in the window. Yeah.
It was a Freddie Prinze used to do that.
Yeah.
On Chico and the Man.
Chico and the Man, yeah.
Up and down, up and down.
I get you.
All right, coming up, we'll take a look at this date in history. We go out of this world again. the day after we talked about landing on the moon.
Yeah.
Details are coming up right after these words from our fine sponsors.
Budweiser beer, the king is second to none.
Who drinks Budweiser? You know the type. The people who grind. Those who don't back down. And the ones who don't quit. They say all people are 6 degrees of separation away from each other. But some are just a six-pack away. The people who share the same spirit, share the same beer. This Bud's for you.
For transportation options in Ross County, call Ross County Health District's Mobility Management Team, 740-779-9652. This date in history goes back to 2011.
Yeah, yesterday we were talking about Neil Armstrong's 1969 moonwalk, so to speak. Well, something came to an end in space.
I thought you were going to follow up with a Michael Jackson moonwalk here.
No, I can't do that. 2011, NASA's Space Shuttle program completes its final and 135th mission when the shuttle Atlantis lands at Kennedy Space Center. During the program's 30-year history, its 5 orbiters, Columbia, Challenger, Discovery, Atlantis, and Endeavour, carried more than 350 people into space and flew more than 500 million miles. Shuttle crews conducted important research, serviced the Hubble Space Telescope, and helped construction of the International Space Station.
I've never witnessed a launch live in person where you can feel the rumble and everything.
Yeah. They tell me for those that have been there, it's like the concussion of that blast coming off that pad. Even as far away as you are, you can feel it. And, of course, the ground rumbles. But one of the reasons the shuttle was retired was that NASA wanted to focus on the deep space exploration program that one day would send astronauts to Mars. We were talking yesterday, we are going back to the moon here in the next few years, but that's a stepping stone to eventually get man on Mars.
Are we any closer to having a colony on the moon so we can make that trip on to Mars?
Well, I think that's part of the plan. They didn't include me in those meetings, but from
why is that?
Yeah, we need Jules Verne. What was the guy that ABC? Jules Verne was the guy that wrote 80 Days Around. But there was a guy, a space commentator, that had a name comparable to that.
Was it Jules something?
Yeah, but I thought it was like Verne or something like that. We'll have to check that here in just a minute.
Where's Google?
While you're looking that up, radio memory. Oftentimes, if we were in a position of management at the radio station, we had cell phones that the radio station paid for us to have. And because we were in those positions, we were getting calls at all hours of the day and sometimes the night.
Jules Bergman.
Bergman, thank you. Jules Bergman. In fact, if you've seen the movie Apollo 13, the actual character is on some of those clips. And the phone that I had at this particular time, I kept getting phone calls late at night, men asking for a particular woman. Well, I've had some other phone numbers before because a lot of times you're inheriting an old cell phone number.
Did this number start with 976?
No, it did not. And a lot of times you're getting somebody's old number. And if they owed, credit agencies, that kind of stuff. Well, this particular, I don't know, it was Bambi or some name like that they kept asking for. And this went on for several months.
It was Bambi. It was 976.
Yeah. and finally, I get a call that the number identifies that it's from Hillsboro. So this call came like late in the afternoon, which was much earlier than they usually came in. So I asked the guy, I said, pardon me, By any chance, I've been getting these calls for almost a year now. Can you tell me what it is about this person that you're looking for? Because I think the question came with it, do you still dance at parties? And when I told him who I was and what I did, he chuckled, and I said, so where did you find this number to call it? He said, well, it was written on a bathroom wall. And I thought, that afternoon I hung up. I said, I'm not going to report you or anything. I'm just wanting to find out. So I hung up. I called the phone carrier immediately, told them the story. I said, I want this number changed now. So got a different number. Yeah. So when I told I told Jeff Reisinger the story, he laughed and he said, no wonder I recognize that number. Jokingly, of course, yes. Yeah,
I've seen him dance.
Yeah,
you don't want to see
the strange things that happen to you, even in radio.
Oh, the old telephone. It is that connection to an outside world.
Yeah,
that we just don't know what we're going to get into.
Do you know of anybody that still has a rotary dial phone? I don't know that many people that have a actual landline phone.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still out there, but
even,
not very many.
Even here, the company has gone to a web-based phone system, and we're seeing that happen a lot across many areas. I think the last time I remember seeing one was at the radio station, and that was for just in case of emergencies.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. How times change.
Mm-hmm. I remember having a phone on the wall at Mom and Dad's, and it was back by the kitchen. That was the only phone we had. It had no other extensions to other rooms, anything like that. And you would open up the cabinet door, and inside that cabinet door was every important phone number that you could imagine. It was all right there. And, of course, it would change as like my brothers and sister left, went out on their own, then some of their numbers they would call got scratched out, and other people's names were inserted in there.
Yeah.
A
phone book? Who has a phone book anymore?
Yeah. I've not been into Mom and Dad's house for a long time.
Your brother lives there?
Brother Mike owns it. He doesn't live there. But I think my sister, when she comes up, I think she stays there. But got to stop in and just take a look around, see.
Yeah. Did you have like the measurement,
there.
your height, where your mom kept track your height?
You know, we did that at some point, but I think it got painted over after we all grew up. I don't think it was necessary anymore.
You might go back and find older. Sometimes when you get older, you're settled a little bit. Yeah.
Well, one thing I can say about my family is I would have had the highest because everybody else is shorter than me. So can't figure that out. And that's part of why they always said that I was adopted. You know, you just right. But we look too much alike. We act too much alike. We have the same. And it's crazy. There were times where we went many moons in which we didn't see each other. We would get together. We have the same political views. We have the same opinion about this and that. About the only differences we have is Jim and Deb were Bengals fans. Mike and I are Browns fans.
How about that?
That's been about the only difference right
there.
there.
Well, your son, he's not an Ohio State fan.
No.
How'd that happen? Is that Missy's fault or is that your fault?
I think John Cooper.
John Cooper's
John
fault.
Cooper and my father-in-law, because for whatever reason, the Buckeyes went through that stretch where they couldn't beat Michigan. And my father-in-law used to always complain about John Cooper. And then the branding side of Michigan came along, and they started getting all this, the big M, and everything was on all kinds of store shelves. And a buddy of Danny's liked Michigan, and I think he won the influence there. But I still have a picture of him in his Buckeyes basketball uniform because when he played elementary basketball, he was a member of the Buckeyes. And that was when they called him Squirt.
So that's like a blackmail photo. You bring that out when you need a favor.
I always use that photo right there. And I also have a picture of he and I in these Cleveland Browns sweatshirt combos that Missy got for us for Christmas one year, back when he was my little buddy.
Your little buddy, yeah. Like
Now,
Skipper.
Now his daughter's my little buddy.
Like Skipper and Gilligan. Hey, little buddy, yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's it for the program for the week. If you've missed anything that we've done over the week, you can always go back and look on our YouTube channel. You can find it here on our videos page, on our Facebook page as well. So if you want to find out what's going on over the weekend, litter Twitter immediately. Mike is all over Twitter. It's amazing.
Tweet.
Our Twitter numbers have just gone through the roof thanks to the hiring of this guy.
And then that oftentimes sends you over to littermedia.com if it's a story. If it's just a headline alert, it's just Litter Twitter.
But you can always go to our website to learn more about not only who we are, but what we do, and get caught up to date on some of the stories you might have missed. So it's all right there for you. So until Monday, have a great weekend, keep it safe, and we'll see you on the next edition of Litter Media Live.